In the world of Euphoria, a show painted in the neon glow of trauma and raw emotion, few characters embody a quieter, more common form of suffering than Cal Jacobs. On the surface, he is a success story. He is a father, a husband, a businessman with a seemingly stable home in an affluent suburb. He has built a life that looks, from the outside, like a perfect picture of the American dream. But beneath this polished surface, Cal lives a secret, second life, a life of hidden desires, recorded encounters, and a profound loneliness that he can never openly express. Cal's story is not just one of secret sexuality, it is a masterclass in a psychological phenomenon called cognitive dissonance, and for him, it is not a temporary state of mind but a permanent way of navigating the world. To understand Cal, we must first understand cognitive dissonance in simple terms. Imagine your mind holds two conflicting beliefs or ideas at the same time. For instance, you might believe strongly that honesty is important, but then you tell a significant lie. That uncomfortable, mental grinding sensation you feel, the stress of holding two contradictory things to be true, is cognitive dissonance. The human mind hates this feeling. It craves consistency. So, to make the discomfort go away, we unconsciously find ways to justify our actions, change our beliefs, or add new thoughts to make the conflict less painful. We tell ourselves the lie was for a greater good, or we downplay the importance of honesty in that particular situation. This is the mind's way of creating peace. For most people, this is a temporary fix. For Cal Jacobs, it is the entire architecture of his identity. Cal's dissonance is foundational. Its two opposing pillars are these. Pillar 1, I am a straight man, a family patriarch, who must uphold traditional values, provide for my family, and be a pillar of the community. This belief was forged in the fire of his own youth, a time of confusion and a shaming father who violently rejected his early feelings for his friend, Derek. That trauma cemented a rule: to be safe, to be successful, to be a man, he must suppress his true desires. Pillar 2, buried deep underground, is, I am a man with intense, specific homosexual desires that are a fundamental part of who I am. These two beliefs cannot coexist peacefully in the world Cal has chosen, or was forced into. So, his entire adult life becomes a complex operation to manage the dissonance between them. He doesn't resolve the conflict by choosing one side. Instead, he builds a bridge between these two pillars that allows him to walk back and forth but never truly live on either side. This bridge is his secret life. His double life is not an expression of his true self, it is the physical manifestation of his psychological compromise. The hidden room in his warehouse, the meticulous recordings of his encounters, the specific, often transactional nature of his liaisons, these are not acts of liberation. They are a controlled, compartmentalized release valve. By keeping this part of his life utterly separate, a secret ledger of encounters stored away like business files, he can maintain the fiction of his public self. He doesn't have to integrate his sexuality into his identity as Cal Jacobs, family man. He simply visits it, like a separate, shamed room in the mansion of his soul. His justification system, the mind's tool to ease the dissonance, is sophisticated and tragic. He frames his desires in terms of performance and control. In his infamous monologue to Nate in the Season 2 finale, he doesn't speak of love, connection, or identity. He speaks of infinite choices and a hunger that his domestic life cannot satisfy. He reduces his sexuality to a primal, almost animalistic urge, separate from emotion. This allows him to think, I am not a gay man. I am a powerful man with an appetite that I discreetly manage. He views his family life as another project, a dream he built with his own hands. This framing lets him believe he hasn't betrayed his family, he has simply outsourced a need they were never meant to fulfill. His cruelty to Jules when he discovers her age is also a dissonance-reducing tactic. By shifting blame and expressing rage, he avoids confronting the deeper betrayal, his own deception of his family and the immoral nature of his recorded encounters. The victims of this carefully managed dissonance are everywhere. Marsha, his wife, lives in a marriage hollowed out by a lie she may have quietly suspected but never confronted. She is not married to a whole person but to a performance. His sons, especially Nate, are the most brutalized casualties. Nate is not just raised by a distant father. He is raised by a living paradox. He internalizes his father's self-loathing, his need for control, his obsession with performance, and his deep-seated rage. Nate's own violent hypermasculinity and confused sexuality are a direct mirror of his father's unaddressed dissonance. Nate becomes the embodiment of the conflict Cal could never resolve, the rage of the suppressed truth fighting to get out. In trying to protect his own secret self, Cal created a monster who would ultimately destroy the very facade he worked so hard to build. The true tragedy of Cal's cognitive dissonance is that it becomes a prison of his own making. For decades, the system worked. The secret life relieved the pressure. The justifications held firm, but cognitive dissonance requires enormous energy to maintain. It's like holding a beach ball under water forever. Eventually, your arms give out. For Cal, the beach ball is forced to the surface by external events: Nate's blackmail, the theft of his tapes, the confrontation with his family. When his secret is exposed, the entire delicate architecture collapses. The two separate pillars of his life crash into each other. His final act in the series, the drunken, raw confession at the police station, is the dissonance finally screaming. It is not a clean coming-out story of pride and acceptance. It is a messy, violent purge of a lifetime of suppressed truth. He destroys his dream house, symbolically smashing the false life he built. His confession is less about honesty and more about the inability to carry the lie any longer. The weight of the contradiction has finally become too heavy. In that moment, he chooses one pillar, but at the cost of everything attached to the other. In the end, Cal Jacobs shows us that cognitive dissonance as a way of life is a slow-acting poison. It allows a person to function, even to thrive in a superficial sense, while eroding their core humanity and poisoning everyone around them. He chose a path of compartmentalization over integration, of secrecy over honesty, of control over authenticity. His story is a stark warning that building a life on a foundation of conflicting truths doesn't create a richer existence, it creates a fragile one, destined to fracture. The pain he caused, to his wife, to his sons, to himself, was not from his desires, but from the immense, decades-long effort to deny them. He lived in the exhausting, lonely space between who he was and who he felt he had to be, proving that a dual life is not two lives at all, but a half-life, spent forever bridging a gap that should never have existed.